What does shit really taste like? Have you ever wondered about that in front of a screen? Hundreds of prisoners were made into a human centipede in a US prison. They had their mouths and asses attached to each other in a length that would fit around a football field. The perverted prison warden made sure everyone got a bite. A 300-pound fat man was placed at the front of the line. This not only ensures that there is plenty of food, but also saves a lot of money on food costs. So it's a double whammy. The prison warden was known to be a fearsome presence for the inmates, but to their surprise, every time they met him, the inmates had to greet his family and even ridicule him. Faced with hundreds of inmates' abuse, the warden could no longer stand it. Every day he couldn't sleep or eat well, and his hair had fallen bald. In order to change things once and for all, he decided to give the prisoners a hard time. The warden then took one of the prisoners and fastened his limbs to the board. A towel was placed over his face and he ordered his men to bring a bucket of 100-degree boiling water and pour it directly on his face. The poor man's face was so badly burned after the torture that it was unbearable to watch. However, this brutal torture did not deter the inmates and instead they started to riot. The prison governor had no choice but to choose one of the hundreds of prisoners again, and this time he took the most primitive approach. He took the prisoner to a secret room and then brutally cut off his parts. To add to the perversity of the situation, the prison governor ordered the cook to make a delicious meal out of it. The smell made the assistants' mouths water. On this day, a riot in the prison alerted the governor of the state. The governor was desperate to keep his job and used all sorts of tactics to do so. However, the inmates were still very resilient, and when they opened their mouths, they began to spit fragrance, not even afraid of the cruelest castration. Just when the warden was at his wit's end, the bald secretary suggested an even more perverse solution. Thousands of prisoners' mouths and bottoms are sewn together to form a human centipede like in the movies. By eating a single portion of food, the cycle would be infinite, saving food and keeping the prison under control so that there would be no more riots. The perverted prison governor was also very happy with this solution. However, it was only theoretical and difficult to implement. The best surgeons in the country were brought in to make it work. That night, the perverted warden gathered the inmates together. They were shown a series of films about the human centipede and its past and present life. The sick and disgusting scenes had the inmates in an instant riot, not knowing they were about to become one of them. Soon the perverted prison warden came out with a submachine gun. In front of everyone, he made a grand announcement about his great body modification project. The inmates exploded into a frenzy. Even the prison governor was frightened by the sudden attack and fled. The prisoners were about to break into the office, but a group of heavily armed police officers arrived to quell the riot. But what awaited the inmates was a very perverse transformation of their bodies. When the prisoners were released, there was no physical difference, only a few scars on their mouths. However, this is the first time in history that this has been done. In order to ensure that the transformation of the body went smoothly, the prison governor had to find a skilled surgeon. Before long, the warden had a tranquilizer gun and was putting the prisoners down. At the warden's command, the prisoners were taken into the operating theater. The warden was happy to see that his plan was working well, and he was happy to see that it was working. As time went on, the operation began to go smoothly. The day came when the governor came to inspect the prison, and he was delighted to show him his masterpiece. There was a human centipede of hundreds of people in front of him. Even the governor was amazed at the sight of this unbelievable sight. To ensure the food supply, they put a 200-pound fat man at the front of the line. The food was served from the first person to the last person. As for the taste and texture, forget about it. Those who have eaten it will understand, but that's just the beginning. Because there's another version of the perverted prison warden. This one was designed for death row inmates who had their arms and legs cut, often then joined together in an even more perverse way than the previous one. After the tour, the warden expected to be complimented by the governor. Instead, the governor called him an idiot who was inhuman and insane. The governor was devastated by these words. At that moment, the doctor in charge of the operation barged in to show off his perfect work, but the warden was in a fit of rage and killed him on the spot. He then turns his gun on the bald secretary, and just as he is about to kill him, the governor turns back. After some thought, he decided that this was a very good idea. The governor was thrilled to hear this and embraced his secretary. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.